All right, it is 5:10, actually 5:11, and I'd like to call the Zoning Board of Appeals to order. Recording of the roll.
All present.
Item 3, discuss and consider a 6-month extension for variance at 850 East 8th Street.
Thank you. This extension is for the Hobby Wheel storage unit variance that you granted 6 months ago for a setback to the rear yard. And ordinance requires that the variance be acted on and construction started within 6 months of the granting of the variance. It hasn't yet due to the timing of the year. Eric Fitting, the owner, has submitted his request in writing, which is in your packet, and he's asking for a 6-month extension, which is permitted by the ordinance. He does plan to start within the next month, pull a building permit, but because of the weather in the late spring and whatnot, he just hasn't been able to yet.
Your recommendation is to grant the extension?
Yes.
Nothing has changed. Any questions, concerns from Michael on this one?
I will make a motion that we grant a 6-month extension to Mr. Fay.
I will second.
Motion by Commissioner Sims, second by Commissioner Seymour to approve the 6-month extension for variance at 850 East 8th Street. Any further discussions or concerns on this item? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'd like to adjourn the Board of Appeals. Looks like we have 10 minutes before we start our next public hearing.
That's just the same on there. It's the same thing, just one of the colors.
That's just what we use as a color paper, huh? You know,
I started with you because
it used to piss me off. I swear, every time I think those written down, I was about throwing.
but you always knew where your agenda was because you were finding it over there. And all that white paper. That's what it is.
Can I write it on the laptop, though? The color paper? Thanks. Okay, so we have 5:15. I'd like to call this public hearing to order. Item 2, recording the roll.
All present.
Item 3, open public hearing. This is a public hearing to hear comment relative to fiscal year 14-15 proposed budget, schedule of rates for the city services, and the property tax millage rates levied to support the proposed budget.
Thank you. We've put together the 2014-2015 year budget. Part of that document is the budget schedule, which we followed pretty good this year, actually. We had a couple extra budget workshops, a few more hot topics to go through, some funding to allocate, which is always nice. Put together a budget summary, basically a breakdown of your general fund revenues by some of the major categories, all of the general fund departmental budgets, separate those out, and then part of the document is also all of the other funds. Last year's actual, current year estimate, current year budget, and then next year's proposed 2 mills, from 2 mills to 1.8 mills. And that millage is driven by the debt service required payment. This year will be the last year of that payment, and we were able to adjust it down accordingly. All the other millages are staying level. With that, Scott, is there anything else that you wanted to touch on the budget? Otherwise, I can answer any questions associated with it. Now we're probably 8 times over, sometimes a few in between. But commissioners that have any questions, I can certainly answer anything from the public.
Commissioners, questions on this point? Thank you, Paul. This is a public hearing to hear comment relative to fiscal year 14-15 proposed budget. If you have anybody from the audience who wishes to speak on this item, now would be your time. If you're able, please podium and state your name. Okay. All right, I will close this public hearing, and it looks to me we have about 12 minutes before we start our regular meeting.
Yeah, it's independent, right, so.
I know I looked at it, I have to kind of go out there and scale some of this out. Because you saw, the numbers in it. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not opposed to anything, but just like that. I'm not paper, it's great. Absolutely. It's nice to see.
Yeah, I can do that.
Because I just took the high school part of the spaces. And of course, this thing here. But then when you look at this drawing, you think, why not just eliminate these spaces and put this over here? According to this drawing, this is like 70 feet. just say no. I don't think that we. What's that? Just has to go through. I just think that all of this is temporary. It's not an official
What's that thing? What's that one?
You know, so it's a road there.
It's a thing that goes up, it's not a train.
Well, that's the one. Oh, you're talking about.
Right in the corner. It's okay. Yeah. It's 2 minutes black out.
Different rivers have different, pretty much small ways to have water than they do the bigger ones. Did you see the 10 inches? Everything above, bring us to resolve, and what's below, it's everything. Yeah, but every time they call it, we got some pretty low. What's that?
An alternate. It's not safety man. She said, see, here you go. Get that street. When you get a fire.
Okay, I have officially 5:30 on my computer, so I would like to call this regular meeting to order. Please join me with the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item B, recording the voting.
All present?
Item C, approval of the consent agenda. Any changes to the
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
A second.
motion by Commissioner Tower, second by Commissioner Semo to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any further discussion or concerns on this item? Roll call.
Mayor?
Yes.
Semo?
Yes.
Sim?
Yes.
Tower?
Yes.
Corcoran?
Yes. Item D, receive and place on file from Finance Director, one statement of revenue and expenditures and 2 monthly cash report.
Thank you. Tonight, I am reporting the financials for the month of April. Through April, we are 10 months through the fiscal year and should be approximately 83% of expenditures in most departments and funds. First page of the report is the general fund departments. A couple of things to note, we've been near 100% in a couple areas. The computer department did a lot of our purchases for the beginning of the year, and the memorial building renovation for the SSA office. Other than that, most of the departments are in line where they should be. We have a positive period fund balance at the end of April, and March and April revenue sharing has yet to be received. That will be coming here at the end of the month. With our major and local streets, of course, in the winter maintenance and snow hauling areas, we've seen some big numbers there. We've discussed reallocating funds. Those will come to the commission through formal budget amendments here at the next meeting. So that's what's major to report for those two funds. And the equipment fund, of course, as we talked, as the other funds suffer, the equipment fund prospers. The equipment fund is doing very well. The water and sewer fund, as we know, the water fund has taken extreme hits. We'll be looking to allocate funds to them. Sewer fund didn't do too bad here with the winter and was in okay shape. The smaller funds, the library fund, again running into the penal fine issue where they received it in August, but other than that, they're in line with where they should be. Civic Center, again, they're okay, even with the short year that they had. The cemetery as well, we're seeing some activity start to pick up there. And then the smaller funds, all the fire department, more building debt, EDC, and downtown development authority are all okay position. And the cash balances report is the final report. The water fund is the only cash balance where we need to keep an eye on. Majority of funds in there are reserved for R&I. All the other cash balances are healthy. Any questions?
Commissioners, comments, concerns, questions? Motion.
I'll make a motion, we receive and place on file from the finance director the 2 items in item B.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Semo, second by Commissioner Sim, to receive and place on file from Finance Director, 1 statement of revenue and expenditures and 2 monthly cash report. Any further discussion or concerns on this item? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item E, approval of the agenda. Are there any changes we need to be aware of?
I'll make a motion, we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Semo, second by Commissioner Tower to approve the agenda as presented. Any further discussions or concerns on this item? All those in favor, aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item F, Citizens wishing to address the commission on items that are on the agenda, there's a 3-minute limit, please. And if you're able, please approach the podium, state your name, and just a reminder to be respectful with no personal attacks. Watch the time limit, and also note that this is not a time for extensive debate. We will consider your comments and concerns, but are not obligated to respond.
Steve Frank. There's no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his prophet. Or, if you prefer, Hail Satan, Lord of darkness, King of hell, ruler of earth, God of this world. Almighty Lord Satan, teach us to become strong and wise. Teach us to vanquish the enemies of our freedom and well-being. The second one is what a man in Florida intends to speak in front of a commission meeting down there. If he is not allowed, he plans on suing. The Supreme Court ruling you referenced at the last meeting allows sectarian prayer. This cannot favor Christianity. It must allow other faiths, or it will be in violation of the law. Now, you don't need to take my word for it. You can pay the city attorney to research it. You can pay city staff to respond to letters of complaint from national organizations. You can pay to fight lawsuits. And not only is it money that we're going to waste, but we can waste time. Your time debating this, it's my time now. I have no desire to be there. I will not, however, remain silent while you try to inject your superstition into the public spirit. You can pray to Allah, or Thor, or Yahweh, or SpongeBob SquarePants. It's all the same to me. But do it on your own time. If you need more incentive, why don't you read the book that you supposedly follow? And when thou prayest, thou shalt not be as the hypocrites are, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and in the corners of the streets, that they may be seen of men. But thou, when thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut the door, pray to thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. Now, if you still feel the need to display your piety, might I suggest that when someone is feeling ill and unable to stand at the podium, you not argue with him. Instead, show some compassion. Or better yet, actually do the job that you swore an oath to do. I can't help but notice that you weren't at the last special commission meeting, and that you never attend the IDA meetings. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Good evening. I'd like to talk about item L regarding the Little League field. I have great support for the Little League field in general, and it's great that people donate towards improving the Little League field. But I believe strongly that the planning for that needs to be in the system within the city, the Parks and Rec committee needs to be going through that, and that has not been the process. It's really been the Little League group that does it, and I think it's very important that it becomes part of the group and that there's long-term planning with that. And also that there are some, I guess in this new map, some ideas of expanding the area by filling in some space around the edges, and that is impacting the Miners Memorial Heritage Park. So that should go through the process so that the whole community knows, is able to give input for that. And also, it's important that there's a room for a biking trail along that Little League field, because that's where the Sissu Trail goes through, and the long-term plan for Miners Memorial Heritage Park is also to have a biking trail that goes through it, and so that's important for the planning process. And also, if this is in the city processing, going through the Parks and Rec, the city can go after grants. I mean, this would be a great project for a trust fund grant, and so the money that is raised can be, you get a lot more for your money. And for raising little funds at a time, you really can't do a good job compared to if you get a good grant.
Okay, thank you, thank you. I'm not, anybody else?
Good evening. My name is Joey Johnson. I just got information on the plans for expanding the parking lot for the Little League field and also some other, putting up another couple of buildings. As a law enforcement officer, many years in the city of Ironwood, parking there has been a major problem, a safety issue all these years. Now they have a plan in place, and it's my understanding that the commission may have approved it last year already. Is that true?
I don't recall.
Okay. In any case, I guess someone will be speaking on that tonight, but I just viewed the plan there, and it looks like a very good plan. I do know, as my kids went through Little League, we spent a lot of time back there getting people to dump good soils back there to fill in the subsiding ground that lurks to the south of the Little League field. And the ultimate goal was, of course, to provide parking there. And it's my understanding that now there's an opportunity to get a lot of soils to be brought in there to expand that area so that the plan for a parking lot now can become done this year and provide a very safe atmosphere for all the new activities that are going to. We have boys and girls now going to be playing there in addition to the second field, which again will increase the traffic in that area. I think it's important to get that project done for the safety of all the kids and our residents and our guests that come into the city. Filling the hole back there will not impact the Miners Memorial Park. There's 168 acres there. If they're going to put a trail in there, I would think that they would have to do a study because there are 5 or 6 shafts in that area. The pond that exists there is an opening to the shafts in that area. Mining went down 1,100 to 1,200 feet. So that's how deep it goes. And there, all the mining went to the north. So the more we reclaim to the south, the better off we are. So it's important to get that parking there, and also it's filling in a dangerous area. Thank you.
Anybody else for items on the agenda? Item F, citizens wishing to address the commission on items, item G, citizens wishing to address the commission on items that are not on the agenda. 3-minute limits, please. And then as before, just please be respectful of personal tax and watch time limit. Not on the agenda.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Novick. I addressed this commission about a year ago regarding a walking trail that is next to ATV trail number 2, I assume. And I was assured that there will be some signs that will inform that this is a walking trail or maybe biking trail. It's still used by ATVs. There is illegal trail behind my property, actually running to my property, ruining my property. I was trying to talk to some people. I guess the Garlic Trail Authority helped a little bit. They put a fence, temporary fence. It was taken down a few days ago. There is only signs from the Lake Street. There is no signs from the hotel that is there or from the other end of the trail. I really need someone to take care of it because, it's still a residential area. The noise that we have from the trail, especially at night, it's beyond. I don't know how am I supposed to watch it, it's not really my job. I don't know why it's allowed to go to a private residence. I have no idea. And the second thing, I did ask about a speed limit on Lake Street. Especially now when this is a detour route, people are speeding, we cannot even safely pull out of the driveway, and there is not one single sign on the Lake Street that says 25 miles per hour. I don't know if it will help or not, but is it really so difficult to install it?
Can you tell me again where your house was?
It's on Lake Street between Ayers and US 2. And it's on the east side. So basically the detour is by that side of the street.
That's the big white house, right?
Yeah. It doesn't matter which house is it. The matter is that, everyone suffers now because of the detour. But at least I would like to have some safety, and people are thinking that, the speed limit is 40 miles per hour.
Thank you. You've given us a lot of good information. Thank you. Anybody else for item G?
I just have a question. Martha say that there was no plans sent to the Parks and Recreation pertaining to the baseball field or whatever field they got going there. Where would I get a copy of all the plans that have gone for the watering fields and the baseball? And the parking, whole thing. Who would have a set of plans? You? From you, it goes to where?
I personally don't have them. I
We would have all the plans for all these trails we have to make sure that there's no problem with anybody getting hurt in any of these goofy mine shafts that are erected all over the place.
That's
Where would I
something-
go for that?
That's something I can look into. I don't know who to direct you at this point, but we can do that. Anybody else? Okay. That takes us to old business, item H. Review and consider resolution 014-020, approving an appropriations act for fiscal year 14-15, including budget establishment of the 14-15 millage rates for city services, and authorizing the collection of a 1% tax administrative fee, and adopt 14-15 city fee schedule.
We finished up with the public hearing on this item. The Appropriations Act is the official document to approve the budget for the villages, fees, and fee schedule. Again, there was the 0.2% decrease in the corner building debt millage, and the other funds are listed on there as well. There's some questions I can answer at this time.
Commissioner Sparkman?
I'll make a motion, we approve the resolution as described in item H.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Seymour, second by Commissioner Kayer to approve resolution 014-020 as described in item H. Any further discussion or concerns on this item? Roll call.
Seymour?
Yes.
Sim?
Yes.
Howard?
Yes.
Care?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes. Item I, discuss and consider action on blank property at 400 Cedar Street.
Here we are, back in front of you guys. You requested a month of time. We have a PowerPoint. I met with Mr. Ken Farner today. We went through his property. He has actually made great strides into taking care of some of the issues. And the picture on the left, which was on May 12th, where he had debris and pilings piled on the right of way. As you can see in the right, that's today's photo where he had removed the items off there. He still has some cleanup to go over the sidewalk, but
he's got his materials off the right of way. There is, a few more minor things we had talked about today, but, he's made great progress towards getting the site cleaned up. Here is the north side of the property, which is actually a street right away called Water Street. And the left is in Main, and the right is today's flow. Here is the northwest corner of the property. He actually has made a scrap iron bin to keep everything encased in the corner of his property, so when he gets enough and he gets rid of it, he sits behind there as essentially acting as a fence. This is some rocks and debris that was piled on city property. He still has some rocks that are on the city property there, but he indicated he plans on moving those in the near future. This is a picture of the south of the property. You can see there's been major changes in all the debris and materials that are around. This was a dirt pile and some vehicles and trailers that were parked on the city's lots behind him. As you can see, he has moved the dirt and gotten rid of the vehicles that were there. There's still a few minor things which we discussed today. There's a couple of vehicles there. There's also, he has 2 trailers loaded and ready to get taken out of there that are covered right now. But he's made great progress into getting back into compliance with his industrial zone.
Yes, I took a ride by there today too. It looks much better. I'm sure the neighbors like the neighborhoods. What would we do here? Do we have to make a motion? Do we have to take an action to?
Well, to extend it if you would like, again, it sounds like there's a few minor items yet to be cleaned up. We can't bring a full, closure report yet back to you, but I think we're really close to that, it sounds like. So whether you want to extend it or have it brought back to you one more time, it'd be up for your discretion.
Or somebody would just bring it back if the improvements are made to specs, up to the ordinance.
I believe we could do that.
We do that, I would probably put a time frame on again, just so we have something to work with, what that was.
Well, I appreciate you doing what you did. It's a lot better.
Yeah, thank you.
It's a lot better. Thank you.
Yeah, there was just kind of overwhelming effort for back from when we had to move it off from the back, maybe paved in and just kind of toss it all there. So I mean, there's quite a dollar amount attached to it also. So I mean, I also am glad that it's almost completed after. So appreciate that.
It is improvement in progress.
I'll make a motion to find out another month to continue with improvements. We'll take another look at another month.
So first meeting in July.
First meeting in July.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Towers and by Commissioner Sim to bring back the blighted property on 400th Street to the Commission on first meeting in July for a review. Any further discussion or concerns in this item? All those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item J, discuss and consider amending resolution 014-013 and 014-014, adjusting the total payment amounts funded by rural development, the City of Ironwood Phase 3 utility project, and water and sewer system improvements.
And this item is a housekeeping item, and Paul will give you a little background on it.
Sure, thank you, Scott. These resolutions were to approve checks associated with the closing of the water and sewer phase 3 projects. There were a number of checks that were approved. They were all reviewed by city staff, rural development, bond attorneys, and engineers. After the closing, it was apparent that some of the numbers had changed. All in favor of the city, actually, reducing the price based on closing costs, things like that. The state of Michigan typically asks for checks associated with every bond closing. They've now changed their procedure and only need one check, so they changed from 3 to 1. And then with the refi amount, the way the bond attorney wrote out the breakdown of the amounts, said, again, it passed through the city bonding agency, and a little development. So we're more of a house cleaning item to get those amounts in line with what they're supposed to be. The checks have been voided as necessary, and new checks written, and then offer lesser amounts, putting more money in the phase 3 pots to do more work. Any questions?
Additional questions, comments at this point?
Do we need separate motions for each resolution, or do we need one?
One.
I'll make a motion, we amend the resolutions as described in item J.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Seymour, second by Commissioner Carrier to amend resolution 013, excuse me, 014-013 and 014-014 as noted in item J. Any further discussion or concerns on this item? Roll call.
Sim,
Yes.
Power,
Yes.
Care,
Yes.
Seymour.
Yes.
Parker.
Yes. Item K, discuss and consider approving the general loan contract between the Michigan Department of Transportation and the City of Ironwood for a state infrastructure bank loan in the amount of $136,750 for US 2 enhancements.
We have talked about this many different times. The city commission did give direction to go forward with the obtaining the loan, the SID loan through the state infrastructure bank. You set some parameters on that. It was an 8-year loan, 3% interest for the amount identified here, and it will be used for the enhanced lighting. Not decorative poles, but they're clean black poles along US 2, burying the lines along US 2 associated with those poles, and also a section of sidewalk between Curry and Greenbush Street. So we have worked with the DOT, and we do have the contract loan agreement document here that defines those terms of the loan.
I'll make a motion, we approve the general loan contract described in item K.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Seymour, second by Commissioner Tower to approve the general loan contract as described in item K. Any further discussion or concerns on this
Could I
item?
add to that motion to authorize the mayor to sign something?
I will make a motion to add the phrase and authorize the mayor to sign all documents.
And clerk?
And clerk.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Seymour, second by Commissioner Tower to approve the general loan contract as in item, noted in item K, authorizing mayor and clerk to sign the appropriate paperwork. Any further discussions or concerns on this item? Any roll?
Power,
Yes.
Care,
Yes.
Seymour,
Yes.
Sim,
Yes.
Parker.
Yes. Takes us to new business. Discuss the park development project.
Let's see if Karen can bring the drawing up on the screen here. We do have a larger scale drawing, we hand out the small scale drawings that are hard to see. If we just talk about the screen there. Again, this is a project that's been discussed over the last couple of years. It's the expansion of our Golden Field area, essentially putting in another ball field that's been underway here for the last year and a half or so, getting that field developed for softball and building purposes. There was a site plan that was reviewed a while back, and more detail we put into it here that you see on the screen, kind of defining a little better the scope of work that they are envisioning out there. And again, the city commission asked for this to be brought back to you to give you an update on it, the status of it, and where it's going. It's something being driven by, if you will, an opportunity possibly, or however you look at it, with some fill material that's being generated from the construction projects. And with that, the Little League was looking at trying to have some of that material brought over to this site to expand some of their areas for parking and some trail development. Again, the process for this will be to go ahead and have this site plan brought back to the Park and Rec for review and some comment, and then to the planning commission for a site plan review and their consideration. And the site plan review process is at the planning commission level. So that process will start here shortly. I guess it'll be in July.
July 2nd.
Okay, so people are aware of that. But we did want to bring it to the commission as you had asked for an update on it. You can see the scope of work here. The existing existing field is, as we look on the screen on the left, the proposed field on the right. They're looking at a new concession, bathroom area, some trails, a parking lot would go along the slope. If you're looking at the screen, the parking that's being proposed or identified here rides right along the toe of a pretty steep fill area. That whole area, from what I understand, has been filled over the years to create the ball field and that space up on top. What they're proposing is to potentially bring in some additional fill from the projects, trying to expand that surface area about another 40 feet beyond the edge of where you see the drop going right now. And you can see along here the flat area, the parking configuration. That flat area is about 30 feet wide with a 10-foot buffer, so a total of 40 from the edge of the slope on average. It varies a little bit. And again, that would be to accommodate some of the parking, but also to accommodate both motorized and non-motorized traffic through that area. That is a natural access point through there. I think we all know, ATVs go through there, bikers, walkers, they cross over to Manny's through that area. It's been probably used for many, many years. So we're trying to accommodate that. It does change the footprint of that area. Down below here, there is a pond that has been referenced down at the bottom, and there has been some discussion on what the snow slope would do relative to that ponding area. Trying to keep a buffer in there so that it wouldn't be filled right to the pond edge. And that's what this proposal does entail, trying to keep at least a 15 to 20 foot buffer away from that pond area. So with that, it's really here for discussion. Any comments you'd like to pass on to the Park and Rec or Planning Commission as this goes through that process?
I'd just like to say I'm happy to see the plan and I'm happy that we're going through the process. I think this is the way these things need to be done, and I'm glad to see it's happening this way.
What is the projected completion date? This year, next year?
For this
Yeah.
project, on the field, they'd like to develop the field yet this year. They're working on that. So I know that's work in progress. The whole site plan development, I'll say a plan of this nature might be a couple of years in the to actually make it happen with the parking. There is a significant amount of volunteer effort going into this and a lot of donations that are being made to this project. So again, they're working on it, and they've been working on it over the last year and a half to 2 years. So it's work in progress, but it is again a larger concept of that whole area. You're looking at probably full development, if you will, with funding and trying to find some larger grants, probably I'll call it 3 to 5 year project. With some goals to get the field in play yet this year and get the field operational as soon as possible.
So within the next couple of years, we're looking at laying down the field, maybe some grinding or some blacktop in the back for the parking. Because I know some of the citizens were concerned, what's going on
Sure.
back there. So within the next couple of years,
Correct.
a lot of improvements.
Right. And the ball field will be very, ongoing. We're working on that as we speak. We are working with some, hopefully, they're getting some donations to some fencing and continue that ball field development. And with the timing of some fill being available, they had maybe the site plan development and moving forward with trying to create more space in there for this plan.
Commissioners, any other questions or comments on the little right now? Thank you. Item M, discuss and consider approval of final payment, number 2 to Jake's Excavating and Landscaping in the amount of $38,000 for the demolition and removal of structure located at 213 Putnam Street.
Again, this is probably one of the largest single cleanup projects the city has been involved in. We've got multiple properties that have been cleaned up and buildings that have been taken down over the years. This one was awarded to Jake's Excavating. You can see the sequence of events here. I think there's if you go through your area, that's when the buildings coming down as they're performing the cleanup, continuing the cleanup, removal of the debris from the site. It was finalized this spring, and then final site restoration. So a big difference from start to finish. They have seeded and mulched the area for turf establishment. So big change for that neighborhood in that area. So With this, it is final payment for Jake's excavating for the bid, so if there are any questions or any conditions.
Well, I took a ride by there again today, and it looks very good. It's a painful process, but we did get there. I'll make a motion to approve the final payment as described in item M.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Semo, second by Commissioner Tower to approve the final pay package as described in item M. Any further discussion or concerns on this item? Roll call.
Gayer,
Yes.
Seymour,
Yes.
Sim,
Yes.
Tower,
Yes.
Corcoran.
Yes. Takes us to item N, discuss and consider waiving the vendor fee for the 2014 Festival Ironwood.
And this comes to the commission each year for consideration. Again, the festival, as we all know, is a great event and done by a number of great volunteers. So we bring this to the commission. There's a vendor fee that is being requested for you to consider waiving. The vendors have increased out there with the new park development, and hopefully that'll continue.
I'll make a motion to waive the vendor fee as described in item
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Semo, second by Commissioner Carrier to waive the vendor fee for the 2014 Festival Ironwood. Any further discussion or consideration on this item? Can I do a roll call?
Seymour,
Yes.
Sim,
Yes.
Tower,
Yes.
Gayer,
Yes.
Corcoran.
Yes. Item O, discuss and consider awarding bid for the 2014 street pavement markings.
Each year we go through and update the street striping, whether it be center lines, odd lines, that type of thing. We found we have a contractor that does that. They have the equipment that we don't have, so they come in and get it done for us. We did go out for bids this year. We had 2 bids. PK Contracting was the low bidder at $16,242. Again, this is our interim. We did a full striping project last year, so we had freshens up the lines that have deteriorated over the winter. And our recommendation is to award it to PK Contracting. Again, the project was identified as one of the city projects. The funds are currently in the general fund, and through your budget amendment process, we have to allocate that to this project. And that would be at the next meeting, we're going to have a special meeting. But the dollars are there in the general fund for this project.
Is this going to be coming out of the current budget or the new budget?
Oh,
Current budget. We've identified the projects as we went through the budget process for the current year budget that we're in now. We didn't put it into the budget formally. The intention was, once those funds were available, to then move them over to the street funds, and they are.
Because we budgeted money for striping in that budgeting process.
Yep, for the next fiscal year as well.
so for next fiscal year, we all the full budget for the full striping for next year.
Just curious how it did comparison to what we budgeted.
We budgeted, we anticipate $20,000, and we're under that, so.
Do you know what the difference is? Like what the bid difference is, why fire is so much more expensive?
We did go through their line items, and again, there's, 10 different things that they do. So they're under on some and over on others, and I'm gonna guess it's just the nature of who's available, because they both have to mobilize from, a ways away. So typically what you'll see, if there's a contractor that has another project in the area, we benefit from that. So I haven't asked them specifically, but we've seen this in other ones, that PK may have something in the area that this coincides well with them being here, because a lot of them may have to travel and get to us. So I'm guessing that's probably the case.
And Farmer is they're here, right?
Oh, this is actually from Farmer.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not.
Where are they from?
They're from Wisconsin. Clover, Wisconsin.
All right.
Good question.
I'll make a motion, we award the bid as described in item O.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Semo, second by Commissioner Carrier to award the bid for the 2014 street pavement markings to PK Contracting as noted in item O. Any further discussions or concerns on this item? Roll call.
Sim,
Yes.
Tower,
Yes.
Gayer,
Yes.
Seymour,
Yes.
Corcoran.
Yes. Item P, discuss and consider approving a lease between the City of Ironwood and the Downtown Art Place.
Yeah, this has been in progress here for quite a few months, working with the Downtown Art Place board in their group. And the city attorney has drafted this agreement. It's very similar to the type of agreement that we have with the Iowa Theater, where the city owns the building, but in that case, the theater manages the building, they repair it, they maintain it at their expense. So we tailor this agreement after that, the same concept. And again, some of the highlights of this agreement, it would be effective July 1st, 2014. Again, now we'd be turning over the operations to them. They would handle all the rentals, whatever might come up associated with that building. It would be a 10-year term for this agreement with an additional 5-year auto renewal. So if everything's going well, it auto renews. If it doesn't, we bring it up at that time. There is a option for a 1-year termination on both parties. So if there's some reason that you need to terminate the agreement with them, or they would like to terminate it with the city, there's a 1-year notice of termination. That just gives everybody time to adjust and make whatever plans they would need to make. Again, the base rent is $1 per year, so it's not a moneymaker for the city. It's really an economic development opportunity down there, creating jobs downtown, businesses downtown, creating that energy down there, which is, they've done a great job of that. They do pay for the insurance for the building. The building is insured under the city's insurance policy, and they will reimburse the city for that insurance cost. And again, the NAP is responsible to maintain the building and the grounds. The city, with this agreement, then turns over the lease agreements to them. They will manage all the leases for the space. Right now, that does flow through the city. As you see, the city commission, that will flow through them. Those existing lease agreements get turned over to them for their management. One item in the agreement that was spelled out is the theater does lease a space in that building. The agreement embedded in here that the theater is fine with and the DAP board is fine with is if there's anything done with that space, it has to be agreeable to both parties, which makes sense. And then they would work on, subleasing the space to the renters. With this too, there will be, as we turn this operation over to them, they will, at some point, all the expenses this is all being funded through rents right now, so there's no cost to the city for this. Rental income comes in that gets used to pay the expenses for that building. After we turn this over, expenses are paid. Any residual rental income will be turned over to the DAP. Those dollars are used to manage and maintain that building. That's what the rental income is for. If there's a leaky roof or a window that gets broken or what have you, those are the proceeds they'll use to pay for those improvements. Anything else, Paul, that I missed or Michael?
We are requiring the, to be named additional insured.
With the insurance, the city will be named additional insurance requirement.
So as they are leasing the city building, and leasing, we are requiring them to name the city as additional insured on the building.
The Downtown Arts Place Board has reviewed this and they've approved it through their board process. And the city did, you had approved the lease agreement before, it was the first draft. There's been a few minor changes in here after discussing this with the Downtown Arts Place Board. Staff has reviewed it, the city attorney reviewed it, and we're recommending approval of this agreement.
Make a motion, we approve the lease agreement presented to us between the city and Ironwood and Downtown Place.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Semo, second by Commissioner Tower to approve the lease agreement as noted in item P. Any further discussion or concerns on this item? Roll call.
Tower.
Yes.
Care.
Yes.
Seymour.
Yes.
Sim.
Yes.
Parker.
Yes. Item Q, discuss and consider accepting a donation of property located at 227 East Aurora Street from Canterbury.
Y'all should have received the memo, which is on the screen. As you recall, we did come to you, I think it was last, a year and a half ago, concerning this building. And at that time, Mr. Aho was in a nursing home and things were, of course, not finalized. But you did hear about it and also graciously voted to contribute to the demolition when and if that transfer occurred. Well, unfortunately and sadly, Mr. Greenfield has passed away, and his relatives are ready to donate the building. And so the question before you is, who accepts the donation? Should it be the library or the city? And kind of wrapped into that means whoever accepts it accepts the title. My board has considered the issues, and it is fine with the city accepting that. And I've sort of listed the reasons for that. The library itself is under the city's name, and so it'd be nice to have that adjacent property under the city's name as well, just in case we'd like to merge both properties or do something along those lines. In terms of liability, it doesn't really, this doesn't really change things. The library pays the insurance, so we pay for the update on the building, and either way, the city, we're a division of the city, so you're kind of on the hook either way, but we do, as with the library building itself, we would take care of any expenses, maintenance, that sort of thing, along with, that comes with owning property. The deed will be a warranty deed and not a quitclaim deed, so the taxpayer's interest will be protected, as well as the city. What that means is that a warranty deed requires that the title is clear and that there's some kind of commitment by the seller regarding that. If it was a quitclaim deed, we would just take it and hope for the best, but in this case, we are requiring title insurance and a warranty deed so that, again, the city would be protected in terms of having correct title. So at this point, it's kind of 6 to 1, half a dozen to the other, 50-50. The thing that kind of tipped the balance was the fact that the library is under city title, so that would just be nice in the future if we wanted to just merge those. We are asking that you accept the donation, and implied with that acceptance, you would authorize someone to then sign the closing documents.
Who's going to pay for the demolition of the building?
The commission had voted to contribute some money. The DIDA has voted to contribute some money, and we're on the hook for the rest of it. Library.
Are you comfortable with having enough funds to do the demolition?
Yes,
through this project?
we have a building fund, that would come up with that.
I'll make a motion that we approve, accept the donation of the property next to the library, and have it be city property, and authorize the mayor and the city clerk to sign their documents.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Semo, second by Commissioner Cater to accept the donation of the property located at 227 East Aurora Street from Kenny Aho to be under the city, and authorize mayor and clerk to sign the appropriate documentation. Any further discussion or comments on this topic?
I would just let you know that our plans for the future are to use that for outdoor program space, either a green space or perhaps build some kind of timber frame sort of gazebo thing that would benefit the downtown in terms of people can come and sit in there, but it would also benefit the library in terms of providing us with some additional space. So, to be exciting, and I just make one more comment, I'm sorry. But just in relationship to the DAP and to the theater, and relating it to this extra property, we are really having a great time collaborating, and it's been a wonderful year. I think you had heard that the theater had received the State Farm $25,000 grant, and that is helping our drama club. So it's just, if we can get the property and make this outdoor gazebo, that just improves that collaboration effort for us. So we're just very excited that the DAP has come into being and that we are entering into a really great collaboration with them here as well.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Semo and a second by Commissioner Cater on item Q to accept the donation of the property under the city and authorize Mayor Clerk to sign the appropriate documents. Any further discussion or concerns on this item? Can I do a roll call?
Care,
Yes.
Seymour,
Yes.
Sim,
Yes.
Tower,
Yes.
Corcoran.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item R, discuss and consider approval of letter of agreement between the city of Ironwood and the IPST Union AFSCME Union to extend the contract opener for healthcare plan design options.
Thank you. The city commission has entered into an agreement with both unions in regard to a contract opener to discuss plan designs for health insurance. The dates for that opener in both collective bargaining agreements is from May 15th to June 15th. That worked when our plan started July 1st. Now our new plans are starting December 1st. And with healthcare reform, there's a lot more changes that are still taking place. We haven't gone through plan designs yet. There's also another health insurance company that we are looking at possibly going with as far as getting rate quotes from. So being that we're still a few months away from our new renewal, we've had discussions with both unions regarding this, and so we'll go back to them for formal signatures. We are recommending to extend the date of the opener from June 15th to November 15th to give us extra time to discuss with both groups plan design to give the best options to the employees.
Commissioners, questions, comments on this? Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement between, the letter of agreement between the city and the two unions as described in item R.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Semo, second by Commissioner Sim to approve the letter of agreement as described in item R. Any further discussions or concerns on this item? Can I do a roll call?
Seymour,
Yes.
Sim,
Yes.
Tower,
Yes.
Care,
Yes.
Corcoran.
Yes. Item S, discuss and consider scheduling a special city commission meeting for either Friday, June 13th or Monday, June 16th to approve resolution 014-021, amending the General Appropriation Act of fiscal year 13-14.
And again, this meeting will be essentially to do the budget amendments that you do at the fiscal, end of your fiscal year. And there's so for a date that hopefully works for the majority of everybody. There's a different date that works better.
I can make the 13th, but I cannot make the 16th.
But I believe some staff will be gone
Yeah,
June 13th to St. Ignace.
right, on Friday, traveling back on Friday. So again, our finance director would be there, but I would not be.
I would be at St. Ignace. I guess I would like to see the meeting scheduled for Monday, June 16th.
I'm fine with that.
Anybody else? Yeah, that's fine. You have a motion?
I will make a motion to schedule a special meeting for Monday, June 16th, as well as excuse Mr. Semo, Commissioner Semo from attendance.
Motion by Commissioner Sin,
And set a time for that. I think we have another meeting at 5, so we're looking at about half an hour, Paul.
Yes.
So either 4 or 4:30.
All right, I will amend that to approve at a time of 4:30.
motion by Commissioner Sin, second by Commissioner Tower to set a special city commission meeting for Monday, June 16th at 4:30 to discuss the item noted in item S and also to excuse Commissioner Seaman from the meeting. Any further discussions or concerns on this item? All those in favor, aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item T, discuss and consider amending to add prayer prior to the city commission meeting. This was something that I've had a couple people address. I've also noticed that the Supreme Court upholds prayer in public meetings without running afoul of the Constitution. The Pledge of Allegiance has the word God in it. The Star Spangled Banner has the word God in it. I believe that prayer before a meeting is a tradition of legislative prayer to begin with the first session. It began with the first session of Congress, and it's a ceremonial type prayer in keeping our nation's traditions. I believe that prayer serves as a great tradition, and I'd like to carry it on, and it's just a call for a productive meeting. So I'm looking for feedback or comments.
Well, I wasn't in favor of this when we got rid of it. I mean, I wasn't in favor of getting rid of it. I don't feel that prayer before a meeting of local government or any government is appropriate. Under God was added a pledge in the 50s, I believe. It was in response to some communistic McCarthyism. It wasn't something that was our founding fathers. Our founding fathers believed in a separation of state and church for a reason. Even a non-denominational prayer, I just don't think it's something we need to honestly deal with. So I'm not in favor of adding it in.
I agree with Commissioner Tower.
As well do I, and I'll throw another option. What would the commission feel like is instead of going that route, that if we're encouraging productivity, we should at least talk about our vision statement as a city at the beginning of each meeting. I think personally that's probably where we should be focusing our efforts as leading the city. Just an idea.
It would be interesting to take a look at our vision statement and see how that would work out.
Okay, any further action, comments? I guess I will not make a motion because it doesn't seem like it will go anywhere, but thank you. And item U, manager's report.
Just a few items to update the city commission on. We are still working, it's hard to believe, we're still working on our big freeze. We're still seeing water main breaks around town. I understand as of today we probably have still 11 or 12 water main breaks in various locations that are being addressed. So it's still work in progress, still addressing that. We are working through with the county, state, and federal level people on a disaster declaration. There's been a lot of staff time put into that to gather all this data, all the costs associated with the repair work, and getting it to the proper people at the state and federal level. Hopefully triggering a federal declaration for this disaster. So again, it's been a big push to get to this point. We'll see if we can just get it pushed a little bit further and hopefully trigger that federal disaster declaration, which then brings FEMA in, and then they review our damages and go down on that road. So we'll see how that plays out. Hopefully we'll know in the next few weeks where we're at with that process. Our two large projects, we have US 2 well under construction. That's going full tilt ahead. Snow Country Contracting is busy out there. They're working again from the west going east. They've done some removal work. As you see, there's asphalt and concrete is underneath that asphalt. So it's a pretty big effort. They're ripping the old road out. And then right behind them, they're starting with their utility work. So again, they're making progress on that. The detour has been in place for a couple of weeks now. People are starting to get somewhat used to it. It's changed for a lot of us, but I think that's been working fairly well. And we do have a weekly meeting with them, and if there's anything that does come up here and there, pass it on, and we'll work with the DOT people on getting any issue resolved. We have also started a project with Ursula Construction. They're working on the city water and sewer project north of US 2. Again, a very large neighborhood between Lake and Bucksmore, and between US 2 and Market Street. So another very large project. Ursula started on that the construction actually on Friday, and they're starting some removals over on Winkle Street, kind of working again from the east going west. And that project will again take all summer. And met with them, and we do have weekly progress meetings. So if there are issues that come up, we will address those. So if there's anything, pass it on, and we will address that with our contractor and our construction field people from Pullman Green.
Right now we're on schedule with everything that's going on.
Right now, but but they just started, so, but everything right now, they're off and running, and again, both contractors have a lot of work to complete in this year. But right now, the project schedules, based on what they're showing us, they, should be completed, barring some issue that we're aware of. And downtown's looking good, they got the flower baskets up. Again, it takes a little while for those to fill out, but those are in place, and the DIDA, again, they're very progressive for the downtown area, and they get donations from businesses and other individuals for those baskets, so it's a real nice improvement for the downtown area. And it's nice to see our Depot Park in full activity down there. It's been crazy down there, fun to see. I know last week, just one day, they had the bicycle ride, the Gurr, they had the classic cruisers, and they had the volleyball league going down there all at the same time. There's just a buzz going on down there. So again, nice to see that activity down there, bringing a lot of people to the downtown area to that park. And also, the chamber has moved forward. They've initiated a Wi-Fi system down there. So you come down with your laptop, you get Wi-Fi that's covering that park area, and you come down and just lounge, enjoy the park, and surf the internet. So nice addition to the park, and we appreciate partnering with the chamber on that further park developments. That's the end of my report.
Item B, other matters, 3-minute limit. I guess I'll start out a couple of items. Just want to make a note, there was a nice turnout today at the Depot. Speaking of all things that go on there, they had the free lunch program for the youth in the area, and I think they served at least 35 lunches for the kids there, so that was nice to see that turn out. And then I guess I would like to request from the commission to be absent from the second meeting in July.
I will make that motion. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Semo, second by Commissioner Tower to excuse Mayor Corcoran from the second meeting in July. Any further discussions or concerns on this item? All those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And then I guess I just have one more comment. Maybe if we could, I'm not sure how involved public safety has been, but maybe they could take a look at Lake Street and see if there's any safety concerns that we can address over there. And that's all I have for now.
I would like to ask Mr. Erickson for an update on the Gateway Trail, it's the non-motorized trail with reference to a citizen.
Sure.
And I think once that trail is under construction, at least the issue of ATVs using her property illegally should be alleviated.
It should help. Again, they were going to have Chief DiGiorgio talk with her a little bit about that, so it's going to be a trespass issue. I know she's talked with some of the ATV groups that help, but we can have that discussion. The trail development should also help curtail some of that, hopefully. Again, that project, we're building it this year. We still are moving forward. Have a lot of design yet to do with things on that. Some of the easements didn't quite work out, so we're kind of changing a little bit of the route of the trail as we go to the east. But hopefully we have a rail grade just south of this one that we can do that with. So.
When do you expect the bid specs to be ready?
2 weeks ago. We're behind the 8 ball line, but we're still moving forward. And again, I want to get that out here shortly. So July, August construction. We have good weather. July, August, September, in that time period.
Any other matters? Adjournment.
Make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Semo, second by Commissioner Fair to adjourn tonight's meeting. Any further discussion or concerns on this item? All those in favor, aye. Aye.